Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the meeting of the Kennebunkport Select Board. Today is the 11th of December. We are calling to order at 4:33. Our first order of business is an executive session per MRSA 1, Section 405-6E, to consult with the town attorney regarding pending litigation. Do I have a motion to enter?
So moved.
First and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? We are now in executive session.
Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4.
And we have to do a vote to close, too, right?
Sorry.
No, you don't. You can just declare it closed.
Good. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back from executive session. We were under executive session per MRSA 1, Section 405-6E, to consult with the town attorney regarding pending litigation. There was no actions taken during this meeting, so we will now claim and state that meeting closed. As our first order of the normal meeting, would you please rise and join me in our pledge allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now we also, the first order of business is to approve the November 27th, 2025 minutes for the Select Board.
So moved?
Second.
The first and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 5, this is our public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone who wants to address the Board of Selectmen with any issue that is not currently on the agenda. Anyone in the audience? No hands. Anybody online, Dave?
No hands raised.
All righty. We move along. We have, the next item is a public hearing. I'll be opening a public hearing to hear about a proposed amendment to the ordinance. It's Part 1, General Ordinance, Article 2, Traffic and Parking Control, Chapter 160-12. And I will now declare the public meeting open. Eric, do you have some information to share?
Sure. Just discussions has come up on the two-way stop sign. Basically, it's a three-way intersection that has two stop signs into it, which makes it somewhat confusing at the intersection of Beechwood and Stone and Beechwood. And so the fact that people, it's somewhat confusing as to who has to stop at that intersection. It does cause some confusion as you arrive at that intersection as to who has right of way and who does not. So the suggestion is being made to just place one more stop sign at that intersection, so all three ways must stop at that location.
Sounds good. Are there any comments from the folks in attendance? Anyone online?
No hands raised.
All right, hearing none, then I would, now, do we need to, we do need to make a,
We need to close the session.
I will, at this time, thank you, close the session. And then ask if we could have a motion, please.
So I'll make a motion to approve the amendment to Article 2, Traffic and Parking Control, Chapter 160-12, stopping at intersections to include the stop sign at Beechwood.
I will second.
The first and second, any final discussion? All in favor? Okay, Article 6. This is rather some exciting news and a great pleasure to have the opportunity for the board to affirm Lori's and Janina's work in identifying and filling a very hard-to-fill vacancy in the loss of Allison Kenneway as our public nurse. It's a very unique position. Filling it took some time and an important search. We're happy to report that we are recommending, the town is recommending the appointment of Jen Brooks. Jen is a Kennebunkport resident. She's a highly experienced registered nurse with nearly 20 years in emergency and community-based health care, including extensive work in hospital environments, walk-in clinics, and medical operations management. As a Kennebunkport resident, Jen brings both professional depth and a strong community connection. Jen has her associates in nursing and medical assistant certification, but she is working also towards her bachelor's degree. Jen is also an active member of the Rotary Club of Kennebunkport and has participated in local cleanups, community food drives, and autism trail events. She also works closely with RSU Interact Club, assisting youth in community volunteerism. Jen brings a rare combination of emergency nurse experience, operational leadership, public health perspective, and a deep community commitment. Her background aligns strongly with public health nursing functions, including vaccination management, outreach, safety standards, emergency preparedness, and cross-department collaboration. She expresses clear motivation to serve her community, bringing both skill and heart to the role. It's my pleasure and joy to introduce Jen, and if you'd have a moment, if you'd just like to say a few words for us.
First, thank you so much for inviting me here.
Is that turned on? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. For inviting me here tonight to accept this, as well as the time it took for the board that did the interviews. I'm thankful for the time and for the support of family and friends. I think the two people online might be my family as well. So thank you to the town. Looking forward to trying to fill Allison's position. It'll be big shoes to fill, but I'm up for the challenge.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Make a motion,
Please.
make a motion to confirm the appointment of Jen Brooks as Public Health Director
I will second
And
that.
public
motion.
health officer.
Yeah.
and Public Health Officer, yes.
Excellent.
And I second that motion.
Any final discussion? Yes, indeed. Thank you. We will vote.
No, we didn't.
No,
vote.
we will right now.
You guys started clapping
Then we'll
already.
clap again. It's perfect.
I thought you
So all in favor? And thank you again. Thank you, guys.
I should get hearing aids.
All righty. Number 7, this is to consider renewing the
You
agreement for...
guys are free to go.
Yes, please, yes.
You do not have to stay for the rest of the, you're always
When
welcome.
when do you actually start?
Technically the
22nd.
22nd.
Okay,
All right,
excellent.
great. And you'll be
Down.
up at the office then, the head office? Right on. And I'm looking forward to working with you on the Goose Rocks Beach water quality sample collection. So I'll be in time talking to you about that and walking you through
Maybe I'll
that.
get waiters for Christmas, who knows?
No,
Do
you
it
never
and
know.
get the kids to help. It's really, actually, no, you're gonna love it. Not during the winter, it's only during the summer. All right,
All right.
thank you, guys. Go
Thanks.
ahead, please. Yeah, sit.
Bye-bye, congratulations.
So, item 7 then is to renew the agreement for public safety answering point of service. That's the PSAP with the town of York.
Good evening. So our current contract with the town of York expires on June 30th of the coming year. This is the contract that we have with them to provide our EMD and EFD dispatch services. Those services have to be provided by a qualified public service answering point agency. And so we've been contracted with York. They've just recently sent us a new proposal. We outline the pricing in the proposal for the receiving and routing of those 911 calls. I think based off the pricing, as well as our relationship with York and the history that we've had with York, I'm recommending that we renew that contract.
Perfect. Are there any questions from the board?
No, I make
I-
a motion.
No, I have no, you're comfortable with them. We've had just a couple issues that we've heard about, right? But you feel that we can,
Yeah, so, our experience has been largely positive with them. We have had a bump in the road. I would say that after we expressed our concerns, they were very responsive to our concerns. They took, corrective action right away internally to deal with that. And if we were to, look at outsourcing that to somebody else, there is no way at this point in time with technology to remove that human error factor, so.
Yeah, I'd have to make a statement that John and I were involved in some of that review, and I'd have to say that I was personally impressed by York's responsibility, how they took responsibility, how they showed up to the plate, and it was, you know, I don't know if you have a different view, but it seemed like it was, they took ownership really fast and then make the corrections quickly, because it's a serious,
Yeah.
we all know it's a serious
No,
situation.
and I know that that's really where we have to go. I just want to make sure that you're all comfortable.
Sure, and I think that any agency that has humans working for them is subject to this, so.
Great. So did I hear first?
Well, I'll make a motion to authorize the 3-year PSAP agreement with the town of York.
I'll second it.
But first and second, any further discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Galen, to present an active transportation bicycle study between Kennebunk and Kennebunkport.
Good evening, Board. Galen Weibly, Director of Planning and Development for the town. So tonight, I wanted to give you a quick briefing on some conversations we've been having with the Kittery Area Comprehensive Transportation Systems. That is your metropolitan planning organization that deals with transportation focus in southern York County. And so we've been having discussions with the town of Kennebunk on exploring a study for 2026. So start with a kickoff in late January of next year to discuss how we can increase bicycle and pedestrian safety between our two towns and the connection between them as well. So you'll see in the study area is dealing with Dock Square area, Ocean Avenue, Main Street, North Street, School Street, the whole way down to the Biddeford line. So it's a very large area in town, but Maine DOT has been part of this process because it is a lot of major state routes that run through our town. And they are very much excited about joining us in this planning endeavor and opening the conversation with residents and businesses for how we can increase safety in Kennebunkport. So this is one of your strategies in your comprehensive plan that we're looking to implement. What the plan is right now is we will have 3 public hearings, one at kickoff at the beginning of the process. There'll be one midway through to discuss possible options for study areas that have been addressed in the public hearing section at the first round. And then there'll be a final public hearing at the end. And the plan is that the final report, which will be submitted to the respective select boards, will be submitted in December of 2026. So that's an overall timeline. The area overall, I will also say the steering committee will consist of public safety officials, planning officials, as well as appointed representatives and businesses from both respective towns to have this conversation. So that is an overview of the project. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I just have a quick question, and Galen, I don't know if it's you or Chief, but how do we perceive bicycles versus the pedestrian walkways? So where cars have to stop. So for example, if there's a group of bicyclists riding through the port at a good clip, do they have to stop at the crosswalks, or can they just pedal quickly through?
I think it may have.
Are you asking them, do they?
Well, that's why
Should
I
they?
would like, well, because I don't know how that's being addressed, because if we're gonna increase if there's this, because I've seen close
Yeah,
calls.
So as a general rule, they have to follow the rules of the road, so,
They're supposed
they
to-
also need to yield to pedestrians in crosswalks, they need to stop at stop signs, they need to yield
They
to
usually
other
love stop
vehicles.
signs.
oh, sure.
They do.
Yeah. And what about e-bikes? This is this crossover, maybe this is to Galen as well, is this considering e-bikes as part of the chemistry, or are they separate and this is really just the pedal type?
So it depends on what you're talking about, right? So, the pedal bikes obviously fall under the same general rules. Those that are not pedal assisted, that are, over a certain wattage, by rights, they're still supposed to be ridden like bicycles. Other, communities have taken, a stance, and they've started to enforce, or regulate these other type of bikes, but, yeah. But as a general rule, they have to follow the same rules of the road, so.
Does that also, would this study also be looking at other modes? So e-bikes, these stand-up electric
Oh, yeah.
scooters, or whatever you want to call them, that you
Those
see all over other
uni-boards, those
places?
uni-wheel
Yeah.
crazy things.
I'm sure it's going to open up a dialogue within the community that we're going to discover
Yeah.
all this. And certainly, I think there might be conversations that aren't really related to how we can improve the safety of bicycle, but it might be other regulations that the town may need to explore in the future, just to look out for pedestrian safety as well.
Those electric scooters are really, yeah.
Yeah,
your
there's some towns that they've put regulations
We're gonna see a
on them
lot more of
because the
those.
speed.
So your purview, though, for this intent, is this pedal bikes, non-assisted? Is that the general feel, is that it's non-assisted
Yeah, when you do
bikes?
active transportation, it's looking at other modes, so of non-vehicular connection. So that's really what you're looking at, pedestrian and bicycle. They don't differentiate, to answer your question, they don't differentiate between electric versus pedal. That's not
What
been
about a scooter?
separated.
A scooter has two wheels.
Right, again, it's any other modes of transportation that aren't vehicular.
That, well, aren't an
that-
automotive,
so
aren't
scooters-
four-wheel
If
motor
you will, that
cars.
aren't registered with a license plate.
Correct.
So I see like pedal bike to an electric bike is like a tennis player to a pickleball player.
We'll pick up that
So-
one
I'm just
later.
saying.
Just say,
So Galen, this is a study that they're going to undertake on our behalf, or are we paying for this study?
Good question. So the study will be primarily funded through KAXT, through their fund. There is a small match requirement between Kennebunk and Kennebunkport. We've already included that in our budget, so that's already been covered. But it's like a 90-10 type cost share.
As long as they don't come back with bike lanes in Dock Square, I'm fine.
Oh, that'd be
There's no
fun.
room for them.
That would be fun.
so we have no action required from the board, but I do note that we are looking for candidates for the committee, huh?
Yes. So we'll need at least one representative from the residents, as well as one representative from the business community, is what they're thinking right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they should be in touch with you or with the town somehow?
Yep, they can reach out to us. I don't know if we'll coordinate between the town clerk or myself, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we would have people fill out the volunteer
Yeah.
application.
The volunteer to be part of
It's just
that.
right now, there's not a box saying
Right,
bicycle. But yes, we are looking for members. If people are interested, they should
Yeah.
reach out
And if
to
you know of
Galen's
anyone that's
office.
interested.
And they would be Kennebunkport representatives.
Yes, so Kennebunk's gonna do the same process. They're gonna have their own members brought to the table.
But we're hoping that we could bring you members to a point in January at your meeting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Great,
Great,
super.
thank you. All right.
Do you need me for the
Number
next
9.
item?
All righty, and number 9, yes, we do. So,
Speak on item number 8 real quick.
please,
sure.
please.
My name is Alan Zulo. I'm partner at Coastal Maine Hike and Bike, just across the bridge there.
Yeah,
I actually called on this exact issue around July timeframe because one of our tour guides, we were out with a tour, a couple of 70, 80-year-olds with one of my tour guides, and there was a little road rage incident that happened in Dock Square where the guy in the car, even though Dock Square is the parking lot it typically is, the guy in the car decided that he needed to be ahead of the bicycles, and he decided, after a couple of words, decided to bump my guide and knock him off his bicycle. So I did call Kennebunkport and spoke with Yanine, and she actually told me about this meeting today. She called me this morning and said, you know, if you want to show up, please do. So I'm showing up in support of this, and also to say that I've been in touch with the Bicycle Coalition of Maine. Andrew Zarro is the executive director, and he is also interested in working with you guys as well. So I just want to say thank you for taking this seriously, and, you know, we're all part of it, so,
Thank you, Alan.
thank you.
Yeah.
Isn't that a police matter? Did you call the police?
Oh, yeah, we called the police right away.
Thanks.
But because there were no cameras in Dock Square, we couldn't identify the vehicle. And when I called Kennebunkport Police Department, the dispatcher was sharing his disappointment at not having cameras in Dock Square as well, for other issues as well, so.
Interesting comment, thank you for that.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Any other questions?
Good, thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
So, no,
Can I just ask Alan, on the question that I raised about, how do you perceive this, the stopping at, stop signs and walkways? Because we have a number of walkways through Dock Square, so when your guys are leading a tour through Dock Square, when you guys are leading a tour through, or your tour guys are going through Dock Square, I mean, it's like they'd have to stop and start again and stop because there's all the
Right.
white walkways.
And when we take our tours through Dock Square, we make sure that our tours know that pedestrians in crosswalks have right-of-way. That's, yes, some of us do run stop signs. There's a safety issue as well there, our safety sometimes, but it's called a, what do they call it? California roll, I believe, or Oregon roll, to roll through the stop signs.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, when we're taking our tours out, we're making sure that our tours are aware that we're stopping for pedestrians and crosswalks.
So what I've noticed is, I'm just picking up on the word you're using, because what I've seen in Dock Square is not pedestrians in the crosswalks per se, meaning they're not in the road. It means they're looking back at their kid or somebody that they're talking to. They're entering, they're like stepping down into that white zone, and there's a bike flying right by. So they're not standing in the white zone, they're entering it because they know, once they know that they're supposed to be able to walk out there. I've watched a lot of tourists walk through town, and they just assume I walk into the white and the world stops on both sides.
We have that problem everywhere.
Okay.
I live in Biddeford, and trust me, we have that same problem with cars and bikes, and it's hard to walk a dog in Biddeford for that same reason. I can't speak for everybody on rental bikes and all the cyclists out there and everything, but again, I'm gonna go back to when we have our tours and our tour guides, we make sure that we are paying attention to the people crossing into the crosswalks and trying to stop for them when possible.
Okay.
out of curiosity, Al, what percentage of your bikes are e-bikes or are powered? Ballpark. I mean, is the majority
I
of them
think we
now,
have
or
about a 50-50 split.
About a 50-50 split, yeah.
Of e-bikes and
yeah.
regular bikes.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was weird because at the beginning of the season, all of our e-bikes went out, hardly any pedal bikes, so I was ready to give up on pedal bikes, and then a switch flipped, and then one day, all of our pedal bikes went out, none of our e-bikes went out. So I can't find a logical
Yeah.
pattern
Yeah.
yet, but people are still interested in both
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Power.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
So now, item 9, the presentation by Galen on the Kennebunkport growth map and land use planning process, and an overview of the state law changes, or at least some of them.
All right, and David's gonna bring up the PowerPoint for you that we'll go over today. So I'd like to first thank the board for taking time earlier this week to all attend either personally, in person, or online. To the Growth Planning Committee meeting, we had a guest speaker, Representative Tracy Geer, to go over some of the legislative changes. And certainly we will do a broad brush stroke of those changes later in this presentation. But the purpose of tonight's meeting was to help educate residents as well as the select board on give them a baseline education on what the difference is between zoning as well as growth areas of Kennebunkport, because sometimes we blend the two together and it sometimes gets confusing. And so we want to give a solid foundation of how the mechanics of land use planning work in Kennebunkport, so that you have an understanding as we move forward with any legislative changes of what these puzzle pieces are going to change in the future. So if we go to the next slide. First, we need to discuss what's the difference between a growth area and a general zone. So a growth area is something that's found in your comprehensive plan. This is a grand vision. This is a lot broader region of your town. And so what this is doing is it's saying, what is our vision for this area of our community? And where do we want to see more of the growth directed and the density directed versus more of our rural areas that are a little bit more spread out in type of development styles? And so it explains a little bit the different 3 zones. So there's the growth area, there is the transitional area, and then there is the rural area. of Kennebunkport. And so generally your growth area is anywhere in Dock Square, Village, residential area, where we're at right now. And then your transitional area goes out to Goose Rocks Beach. And then you have anything else that's more in the interior of the town is going to be your rural area of the community. And so in your general zone, you have this is the rules and regs of basically the day-to-day, what you can and can't do on your property.
And when you're saying general zone, you're talking about our land use zones.
Yes, we're talking about our land use zoning, so your Dock Square zone, your Village Residential zone, your Goose Rocks Beach zone, your farm and forest, your free enterprise zones. You're very much familiar with those zone terms. And so this is dictating what you can and can't do on your property. It has performance and design standards in place to regulate all kinds of different activity. And then it also deals with commercial uses. So I think that's important to note the differences between the two. So if we go to the next slide. So this one, a lot of folks have questions about what is a growth permit? And so your growth permit.
And maybe you could just highlight those growth areas on this map.
Yeah.
What's a growth, is there a growth, not growth zone, but a,
Yeah.
These are growth areas that you're seeing on the page in front of you. So the green is your growth, your pink is your transition, and then your bluish violet color is your rural growth areas of the town.
I see.
And so growth permits are something that is very specific to a municipality. We have a robust program for growth permits, and so we limit how many growth permits are issued each year. At present, that is 40 growth permits per year. 50% of those growth permits go into your green area on the map, your growth area. There is 30% of the permits go into the pink area, and then the remaining 20% go into the blue area on the map. And so again, you're directing growth where your infrastructure exists at present. So where public sewer is located and water is that green area of the town. And then again, there'll be less and less growth as you go out from that location. And so again, the purpose of growth permits is to really discourage growth in your more rural and environmentally sensitive areas. And so for Kennebunkport, that blue area you see there is part of the Kennebunk-Biddeford Vernal Pool Complex. And so there's a lot of wetlands, vernal pools, all located in those areas of town. There's a lot of ledge. And so that's not the best ideal sites to put developments. Are there any questions with this page? The select board.
And when the state legislator is starting to change or look at language, they're specifically, they don't recognize our term of transition, right? Transitional area?
They do recognize our transition. They're trying to move away from that with place types, which I can explain in future meetings. But they do still recognize that's still a growth area, but it's not your designated growth area, which is your
That's
green area.
the way you're using growth. We
I
got a
know.
growth.
I know, yep,
We've got
yep.
an interim growth area.
Yep.
Okay, so good.
So if we go to the next slide. So from a zoning perspective, there are 3 different buckets that we have to explain to people different types of uses. And so the first one is a permitted use. And so this is this is a use that is permitted by the code enforcement officer. It does not require a town board review. It doesn't require public hearings generally. It's done administratively in-house.
Example.
So if you have a single-family dwelling, that is a permitted use by and large in Kennebunkport. So if you want to build a house, a single-family house, or you want to build a shed, that's considered an accessory structure. So that's a permitted use generally in our zoning purposes. Your conditional uses require a planning board review and public hearing process. This is generally used for non-commercial uses. Most commercial uses follow under this bucket. And then shoreland zoning and resource protection uses also go to the planning board. So what's interesting about the planning board, they do have performance standards they have to follow, there are certain rules and guidelines they have to follow. But the planning board, in evaluating the site, as well as by residents' input from abutters, they can place conditions on potential approvals of a certain project. So, you know, for example, there might be a commercial building that wants to go in, and they could be concerned about the buffering with neighboring residential lots. And so the planning board could say, we really want you to put buffering as a condition to your approval. That's what that term means. And so they have to follow it. You know, if it's a reasonable condition, they do have to follow those conditions as part of the approval process. So that's, by and large, a lot of the work that we do are the first two buckets, permitted and conditional use. Your special exception is very much a similar hearing by the Zoning Board of Appeals that is similar to the conditional use. However, they have a standard A through R form, so it's a very much, does it meet this requirement? Does it meet this requirement? And they have to go very much like a quasi-judicial board, does it meet the requirements? They cannot place conditions. They basically just call a ball, or a strike. They're not allowed to put additional conditions on things. And so the most common use that this falls into is home occupations at present. So if you want to have a bakery in your home, you have to go through the special exception process.
They just did one of those.
Pardon?
They just did one
Yeah,
of
they
those.
just did one down here. Yep.
So, yeah.
So that's the three buckets of uses. Any questions on how that works? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to the next slide. So your dimensional standards are another part of your zoning. And so some of you may be familiar with some of these that are on the board. So lot size is how big your lot has to be in order to have a certain use, especially a residence on a lot. At present, most of your lots are about 40,000 square feet. In some cases, it can be 20,000. And then out in your farm and forest zone, it's 3 acre minimum. Your lot widths this is how much of your parcel is abutting to a private right-of-way or a public street. So whichever one, it's a road. That's what that section is. Your net residential area, which I will cover in another slide, is dealing with your density, so how many dwellings you can have on a lot. Setbacks, again, that's how it's imaginary buffer from the property line to the interior of the lot. So how far does your buildings have to be from those property lines? Lot coverage and height limits, again, they're dealing with how tall your building can be, and then how much building surface you can have on a lot. And then you're very much familiar with your parking standards, and site layout is anything else. So, you know, where your parking must be, where landscaping must be, that's part of the site layout dimensional standards. Any questions on that section? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go into net residential net residential area, which equals density. Just think of it that way, because we're going to be dealing with state legislation, and they're going to start talking about density, which is a different term, but it means the same thing. So what this is saying is how much square feet do you need to have a dwelling on a lot? And as I mentioned before, it's generally about 1 acre, 40,000 square feet is what we require for 1 unit on a lot.
It has to be buildable.
Yes.
Oh, does it have to be buildable 1 acre?
So
Does it have to be buildable? It has to,
No.
it can't be 40, let's say 40,000 square feet, but if 20,000 is wetlands,
so
it's
Yep. One of my little things there is you have to calculate only the upland, so no wetlands can be counted. Nothing below the high water mark can be counted. So if part of your property has a pond on it, or it has a beach, or coastal wetland, marshland where it does go under with water with tidal, you can't count any of that land as part of your density requirements. And I always put this little asterisk right here, just because it says you're allowed in this zone that you can have, let's say, 10 dwellings on a lot, doesn't mean you can if you have a really narrow lot with the setbacks and everything basically prohibits you from doing that.
You
So
gotta meet everything else.
yeah, you have to take everything else into consideration. But in general, it gives you just an overview of how many dwellings you can have on a lot. And that's gonna be imperative as we move forward with talking about legislation.
Now, that didn't always used to be the case, did it?
I'm sorry?
My understanding was, not so long ago, the total area of the lot counted for you to calculate your business, your footprint. So if you had wetland, they wouldn't say, we're gonna deduct 2,500 square feet or whatever, 10,000 square feet from this 40,000 square feet, and that cuts your building footprint down by basically 25%, did they?
We've been counting that for quite some time.
Yeah.
It's been the standard for Kennebunkport, that we've reduced wetlands, so any rights of way, so if you have a private road going through your property, you would reduce that as part of the, net residential area calculations. You would also reduce any utility lines that are running through the property, so we have calculated that for a while. Your lot coverage might still be, your lot size still might be larger. You might have a 2-acre lot size, but when you take all those reductions out, that's what your net residential area is. So there is two different numbers.
So you have a 2-acre lot, and it can exclude an acre for all of those things, then your maximum buildable
Yep.
is 40,000 square feet.
Correct. You have
Whatever the
one dwelling,
percentage
yep.
is from 40,000
I,
square feet.
I think the confusion happens, a lot of people just hear, let's say 40,000 square feet, my lot's 42,000 square feet, oh, I can do it. And then when
Yeah.
you start to realize, I got a utility easement, I've got wetlands,
Mm-hmm.
I've got, whatever else. It's real, let's say a 15,000 square foot, it's unbuildable, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so just to be clear, if you put a private, so what you just said, Galen, is if there's a private road going through, or any kind of road, driveway, that is taken off, that also falls off the square footage.
Yeah, if there's a private right-of-way easement that's on the property, you have to reduce that as part of your lot size.
But
If
if
it's an
you
easement.
built one, like if you built one.
Your
As
driveway.
part of you, say you built like a complex.
Yep.
And you threw a driveway into, so everybody could go to all their all the houses on the complex. Does that get taken out, or does
It-
that get just counted as, of the coverage?
So it's two different things. So if it's a driveway, you would not reduce it because it's just for to get to your house. You wouldn't reduce it just for you. If you were using that driveway and it became a road because you're now servicing other people, like other property owners, that requires a designated right-of-way to be added to that parcel so that legally everyone can access that lot or go through that lot. That would be reduced.
Yep.
Because you can't build on it at that point.
Got it.
Yep. Okay. Clear as mud?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wonder, like, it's so funny, because like you hear this, and then you walk around and you're like, well, how the,
Yeah, and how'd they
How
put
the
that
heck
did
house,
they do
that
that?
new house get put on that lot?
because like there's like no room from the street to some of these houses. It's literally like you could reach and touch them,
Yep.
open the windows for them.
Mills Road, for one thing. All
So
right.
if we go to the next slide. So what is changing in 2026 and beyond? So you heard a lot of good discussions on Tuesday regarding the changes in LD 1829. We also know that there's some other pending legislation of LD 1921 and 1926 that are going to change some things for us. So what we know is going to most likely happen, and we'll see if there's a cleanup language made by the legislature later this year. But it looks like in your growth area of town, so that green area that we were discussing, that the lot size requirement is going to shrink from its existing zoning of 40,000 square feet and 20,000 square feet respectively, down to 5,000 square foot lot size. They are also going to change your density if you are in a growth area connected with sewer or have access to public sewer, that you will be able to potentially have 4 dwelling units on a 5,000 square foot lot. So that is,
Could that be 4 duplexes?
So,
Two duplexes.
it all depends. They could maybe, it depends on the lot, how the lot works, but they could either put two duplexes in, two separate detached, or they could make them all one, so it'd be a multiplex, so all four together. Or they could have little tiny cottages and do four little ones that are on a lot.
I think what Alan's asking is it really 8 units versus 4 units, if they did
If it's a
duplexes?
duplex.
Oh, no, so when it's a duplex, we count them as 2 dwellings.
Okay.
So that's,
So define a unit. A unit is a
household.
dwelling.
yep, a dwelling unit is it is basically an area that has sleeping, permanent sleeping, cooking, sanitation, for a person, like that is for a family unit. So that's the general definition. I don't have the land
Does
use.
it have to be like a deeded property, like a deeded separate entity?
It's just a structure
property?
that has those qualities in that structure.
But if you had an ADU added to something, does that become another unit?
That is another unit, but we don't count it as part of density, so yes. So technically it could be 5 if you count the ADU as,
So all 4 could have an ADU
No.
and there
no.
could be 8 families?
So our ordinance still trumps, they have not, the legislature hasn't touched that. Ours says you can only have one
Don't
ADU,
tell them
Yeah,
anything.
one
per,
ADU on a lot.
on a lot.
Yes, because the purpose of the ADU is it's accessory to the primary use on the lot, and they do not have to get a growth permit for an ADU. You can just come to the town and apply for,
But
an
the
ADU.
primary, there are 4 units on it, those are 4 primary uses of the lot,
yes,
So who gets the ADU?
but only one of them can get an ADU.
first come, first serve.
So
But
who-
to your other question, Mary, I mean, it could be 2 separate tax parcels if it was a condo. Or it could be 2 rentals, and it would be 1 tax parcel.
yeah, so
Right.
so it's not connected to a tax parcel. It's not, so you could have 4 separate
Yeah, you can
deeded
condo it.
ownership.
It's gonna be a long discussion.
Yeah.
What do we wanna try to get through tonight? Because there's a
Yeah, I-
hell of a
I-
lot here.
Yeah,
And we're
Yeah.
not gonna do it
No.
in the time.
So
we've got.
basically, John's telling us to stop asking questions.
Well, and I
second
hate
that.
to say it, but
No,
you know, I wanna do this again.
yeah, I'm just
I-
giving you a baseline, so
I-
I can always
I
come
think just-
back and.
Yeah.
I would
You'll be
agree.
back.
I agree with John. I think the growth planning committee meeting, which was over 2 hours, was interesting and fantastic, great discussion. I think this is a much larger discussion that probably needs to just be, this has got to be the agenda item to some extent, not, because this can go, there's going to be a lot of questions.
There's so much here, and so much I
So-
wanna ask. Well, why don't we let you just
Just
give
go off.
Just keep doing the
give us
high
what you wanna say, and that'll set
Yep.
us up for questions later.
Yep,
Can we just ask questions on definitions, though?
No,
so, the next bullet point is step back requirements. So basically what this is meaning here is we cannot treat multifamily housing different than single family. So all housing types have to have the same setback requirements. So there's gonna be some adjustment that we will have to make, but it doesn't matter if you're a duplex, single family, or multiplex. You have to have they have to have the same setback requirements for our zoning. Height allowance, above the building height, so they are allowing a 14-foot height allowance for affordable housing. Above your imaginary building height of 30 to 35 feet in town, you can go 14 feet more above if it's for an affordable housing development. So, I know there's gonna be a lot more questions about
Yeah.
that, but I'm just giving you a high level.
We're staying quiet.
Yep, next slide. So these are some administrative procedure changes that we're going to make changes to. So for multifamily housing units in the growth area, the state is saying that we can only require 1 space per unit. And then workforce housing and affordable housing developments will only have 1 space for every 3 units. So that, we've already dealt with the affordable housing piece, LD 2003, if you remember. We were required to only have that ratio, but for workforce housing, which is dealing with a little bit higher income level, it's probably most of the town's staff would follow that income bracket to give you an idea of who would qualify for workforce housing. They would probably qualify for that reduction in parking requirements. There is also discussion of an appeals process will be changed. And so I was also glad to see we had one of the zoning board members also at the GPC meeting to hear this. But instead of basically, if a planning board denies a project, the developer could take this to the state review board that they're creating to potentially overturn that decision, instead of going through your zoning board and then eventually to the Superior Court. Accessory dwelling units, I just explained that to you all, so we have to allow accessory dwelling units, we have to allow on duplexes and multifamily. Currently, we only allow ADUs to be issued for a single-family dwelling in Kennebunkport, so that'll be a change. And then finally,
Wait, can we just hang there for 1 second?
Yep.
I just need to reread that. Okay.
And then for growth permits, so in that green area that we showed earlier, there will be no more limits on, there'll be no more cap on the growth area of Kennebunkport. There will still be limits, though, in the rural area and the transitional areas of Kennebunkport.
So that means that they can build as many houses as they want in that area?
Yeah.
In 1 year time?
They'd still have to apply with us, but yes, they would, in the green area that we showed you earlier, they would be able to just come into town anytime and just be issued a permit. I will say from a town perspective, I'm not as, there's not as big of an issue, because if you look at our statistics for the past 3 years, we have never maxed out giving out our growth permits in the growth area.
But that
So
could change.
with the change, there could be a chance if people
I
are
think there would
interested.
be a
Well,
monetary
I'm
incentive
sorry,
now, which there didn't exist
Right.
before, so.
Yeah, but they also, it's wickedly expensive land.
So,
But let's-
but I'm
let's
just,
go.
but all limits on growth permits to be issued in the growth zone, which is the green zone,
Yep,
are basically eliminated.
yep, there's no cap.
So, there's no cap, someone could walk in and ask for 100 permits.
Yep.
Within 1 year.
Yep.
And there's nothing that could
Nope.
be done,
Oh,
stopped.
Well,
I mean,
the only thing that could be done is if it exceeded our capacity of.
For water and sewer,
Yes.
right,
For
but I'm
sewer,
just saying,
yep.
I mean, if we had the, I get,
But-
it's
but-
much longer, but it could, I'm just saying, that's what could happen.
Yep.
That, yes,
It's a bad
and
deal.
they'd have to be able to buy enough land to put that up. They'd have to have the setbacks in order to put
No, I
it. They'd have to
got-
get the height restrict. I mean, there are other things
No,
that
there's
can
other
trigger.
things.
We gotta be
I
careful, we just don't think everything's
but-
gonna explode.
I understand.
Can I
Let's
just
go ahead.
ask,
I
can I
understand.
just ask one question, because it would just require Galen to give one quick answer?
Yeah, go ahead. I just gave a question.
Okay, so let's just take an example.
Yep.
Okay, so, because I think we might have looked at this, and if we didn't, then just say I don't have the number and we move on.
Yep.
But where the current town hall is, if, just say in the old plan of the thing, if that got sold, how many units could go on that area?
Uh-oh.
If they were affordable.
No,
Okay.
just in general.
Make space for the park.
No,
So,
they don't need it.
They don't need parking.
They need park.
so we're not counting wetlands, right?
Nope.
No, it's the old
No,
town
there's
hall,
no
right?
Not many wetlands
It's
there,
the highest point in the town.
for a reason.
Crow Hill.
So you would have 697 5,000 square foot lots, not including wetlands,
no,
not including
Whoa,
right of
whow,
ways.
whoa.
No. I think what Mary Beth is asking is the existing
Existing
town
town
hall
hall.
lot. If we had sold
Oh,
the
this
town
one.
hall,
Okay,
yeah, this,
yeah.
not,
No,
yeah, with the
no.
old, on Elm Street.
Elm Street.
If we sold that building,
Yeah.
how many,
developer.
which my understanding is it would be residential.
For some
You know, I
reason-
wanna give
For
Galen,
some
no.
reason,
No,
if you don't have the number, but for some
Yep.
reason, 14 sticks in my head.
let's call it, we come back later
Yep,
with that.
we
Let's
can get
not do
that.
this
I
real
just didn't
time
know if
and
we-
get it
yeah,
wrong on
sorry,
the
I thought
record.
we
Yep.
had a no- Yep, I apologize. I
There we
don't have
go.
the number. Moving on.
Okay, that's it.
Excellent
Excellent,
job.
Galen. I think,
But boy, is there a lot more here that we
no,
need to.
there's a lot.
Can we get a workshop or something? This, something's gonna
Yeah.
take more than a meeting, in
Well,
my
I think
opinion.
we just have to keep, like David said, like, just keep letting us take small bites out of the apple.
Yeah,
It,
pretty
good
big.
job. I mean, it's a lot, and I think people need to digest it, and
I think from today,
Are we allo-
everybody, including the public, got an update on what is a growth area?
Yep.
Where are the growth areas? Where's transition area? What's rural and intent? So I think it was a good chapter 1. Intro.
There's
With
about-
and
more
there's
chapters
about
to come.
300 chapters to go.
And the law may change, because there's a fix-it bill.
That's right. This
So,
isn't done
very
yet.
premature, but necessary, but, you know, whatever.
The fix-it bill is
Well, the
to repeal it.
majority of it right now is just an overlay of what it is.
Right.
So it is what it is right now in terms of growth areas and blah, blah, blah. Very good.
All right.
Thank you, that was helpful.
Thank you, Galen. The next item is actually something that Lori and I would like to bring back to the board. This is revisiting our previous decision on how we would recoup the half-a-year water bill billing cycle. You'll remember that we are now catching up to a to a fiscal year away from, I think, what was a calendar year and never got changed. And I think we had originally thought, well, let's just bite the apple and have it done. And one thing that's been brought up by several folks is that this could really create some significant hardship for not only some of our residents, but also for some of our larger businesses. So the thought might be, there are, well, actually, you're going to have a chance to introduce some of these things to us? Yeah. So that's really what this is
I
about.
think before we begin the communication and implementation process, because we certainly want to give people warning, there was a lot of subject matter that you were discussing at this meeting and the meeting surrounding it. And so we just wanted to touch base with the board again, because I think some of the thought process back then was that, staff would work with people who may be having a hard time with that financial transition. And I just want to remind the board that we are required to follow a statutory process that mimics the real estate tax collection and lien process. And so we do have a requirement to start liening those unpaid bill properties 8 to 12 months after commitment. And so we have a limited window in which to work with people before their property is liened, whether it's a business property or residential. And, some of that occurs today, but we just thought we'd give a brief overview again and just check in before we start that communication process.
I have a question. I thought that we waited 3 years before we leave the property.
No. So after between 8 and 12 months of the commitment date, and so in August is when we commit property taxes, and we would start committing our wastewater bills in a similar time frame. So 8 to 12 months after that date, we have to send a 30-day demand notice. After 30 days, we have up to 45 days after that's sent to file the lien. We don't foreclose for 3 years because then once the lien is filed, it sits for 18 months before it forecloses. But we do lien the properties in that 8 to 12 month period.
So what's an alternative, Eric?
Well, what was presented last time is, to try to get ourselves aligned, we also were to look at the possibility of borrowing from ourselves, if you will, for a period of either 5 to 10 years. So that would be a bump in the rate. So effectively, everybody's kind of paying off that debt over the next either 5 to 10 years, depending on what the board's desires would be. So basically, we're borrowing at zero interest against ourselves.
So is there a way, instead of splitting 50-50, like you were doing so our residents pay it once every year? And now we're gonna go to twice a year.
Yes.
And so we're concerned because the first payment will be, the first half half-bill payment will be in the same calendar year as the last full payment.
Right, so May of next year, of May of '26, we would be paying for our fiscal year from July 1 to June 30th on the 11th month. So what would happen is as we went to 2 years, somebody would, the residents would be receiving a bill, 50% of their bill for the following fiscal year in the fourth month, or the November, and then a second bill, another half bill in May.
So my question is, on the first year that we do the break-in, and I don't know the math of your ins and out of your cash flows, but I was thinking that if we were going to the 2 payments to alleviate some of that first year double, or that last year double payment of a full payment and a half payment, could the first payment of the double payment for the first year be like a quarter of it? And would that give us enough cash flow? It would alleviate the business issues, some of the residents' issues, and because in essence, they gotta be paying so for a 1-year cover, like if we were saying to the residents, our rates are going up substantially and we're gonna do this, and so your bills are gonna go, it's a hardship on 2 parts. I'm not really in favor of bonding to cover a year. I'm interested more if, can we break payments down? Because they're paying the same amount of money, it's just we're taking it sooner.
We're not bonding anything.
Well, borrowing.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
just
well,
a cash,
maybe
it's
I
a,
shouldn't be using the term borrowing, but
Yeah.
effectively we've been highly dependent on the town. The wastewater department is highly dependent on the town because that's why we get paid on the 11th month. So we have no revenue for 11 months, and then we collect all our revenue. So.
we've been doing that for years.
Yes,
Forever.
yes,
Yeah.
since
So this is
the
not-
town went to the fiscal year July 1.
Right.
Yes.
I think the question is, could we break it up more? And we
It just-
did look at, could we break it into quarter payments? But at the end of the day, people are basically still paying that within a short time frame. If we made people pay, or we had people pay a quarter in November and then 3 quarters in the spring, it would, at some point, it's still, you hit that bump.
Yeah, what's the downside of putting it out over 5 years? We have the cash flow, we have the buffer to do it.
The rates go up.
The rates always go up, the rate's gonna go up. That's
No,
a,
the rate's going up because of your borrowing, the rate's not going up.
there's no
because-
borrowing,
No, so I should be
there's no
clarified
borrowing.
as a zero
I'm
interest.
going off of what you
Yes.
said
I'm
to
sorry,
me.
no, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
you're
sorry.
right.
So,
Sorry,
And
Mr. Timm.
And I apologize,
thank you.
it's a 0% borrow, so, if you will.
But, I mean, the point Mary Beth is making is, even if we're paying ourselves back, if we're doing it over a 5-year period, 20% of that 6 months that we're borrowing will be added to the bill. So it's basically a 10% rate
Yeah, so
hike.
if we did it over
That's
10
better
years,
than a
it's 10%
50%
increase.
head, right?
Right.
So-
So depending on we do 5 years or 10 years, yes, that's, it's either gonna be a 10 or 20% increase at the sewer rate, because we are paying ourselves, we have to pay ourselves that 20% back, on a yearly basis, if it was a 5-year borrow.
Can I,
But the alternative is to put a 50% raise for 2 payments on the,
Or just one.
for one, but, yeah.
Just 150%.
But that's why I didn't understand is, why can't we break it, and that's what I'm not following, is like, we said we're gonna break it into 2 payments, and so that gets you to your 50% on a tag over that 1 year. I'm saying, to Lori's point, can't we break it up for the first year to ease into this on a quarterly basis, so that it's not you're not paying a 50%?
So do a quarter this year and do a quarter next year?
I think Mary Beth's saying break the
Break it
payment
into 2
into
years instead of
3-month
Quarter this
periods.
year, so November,
No, she's saying a quarter, a quarter, a quarter, a quarter, right?
Of the 50% that it read, but yeah, but that's, yeah.
But it's gonna be
so doing it over 2
a
years.
quarter of the 100% in that fiscal year.
can I you are trying to get it, you're trying to get it that these bills are the year, it's the same as the fiscal year, correct?
Right,
Which is July
July 1, yeah.
to June 30th, July 1 to June 30th. how much of it, in all honesty, how much of it, some people have a difficulty with it, but are we overcomplicating this situation in that we don't really have that many people who this is going to have a huge impact on if we went to a quarterly basis, and we may only have a couple. And I know we have to lean them, but it sounded like you don't have to actually lean them for almost 8 months, which is really a year.
Yeah.
You know, you could figure out who's running behind and say, okay, maybe we
When
could.
I talk to people, they don't go, oh, yay.
No, well, no
You're
one
not
goes,
leaning me into.
no, but no, I get it. No one goes yay, but you know, I mean, it is kind of, I just don't know. I don't pay the water and sewer because I'm not hooked up to it, so I don't know what the bill is.
Guys, why are we
would-
talking about doing, why would we want to have anybody be disadvantaged any more than they need to be financially? This is not costing the town anything. We're going to put it out over 5 years instead of having to do it all in 1 year. To me, it's a real easy choice. If we're not getting any pain from it, why would we have anybody get into a position where their home would be liened?
So the pain I thought I was understanding is that we are basically paying an addition. The rates go up, yes, but because we're doing this over a 5 year, our rates are gonna go up more because we're extending it over 5 versus taking the bite of the apple for 1 year.
That's correct.
So it's not just, so we are paying for it, so we are paying, the people will be paying for it, it's just over 5 years instead of taking the bite out of the apple. I'm more with David of understanding, you know, let's just take the, so that's where I think we're not understanding, John. You're saying you're not seeing an issue, you're saying that you don't see an increase. I'm hearing that we're
There's going to be an increase.
borrowing
At 0%,
on
yes.
0%, but there's gonna be an increase based on that, because you are taking money.
Well, there's going to be an increase on anything. I mean, the point is, either there's going to be a huge increase one time, or there's going to
So
be a
let's-
fifth of an increase over the other 5 years. Isn't that what, am I missing that?
Can I ask what kind of money are we talking about?
$400 or so.
No, in aggregate for the
Oh,
town, if
between
we're gonna,
Between 900
It's
and $1
2 million
$1
budget, basically, $1.8 million.
but what's the delta if we push it off? How much is it gonna,
900,000.
okay.
But it's just the interest on that, right? I mean, it's not the.
No interest.
Well, so let's just back up for a second, because I think we're getting a little mixed messages. We are going to do a rate for the fiscal year, and people will continue to pay a similar amount of money for each fiscal year, okay? The issue is that first year, because of the change in time we bill, it's gonna feel compacted for about 50% of the bill.
Right.
In that fiscal year, in theory, on the books, it's gonna be the same, but people will feel like, I just paid that bill and now you're billing me again.
Right.
So we can do that, and I would say, you know, we have a business that pays $100,000 a year, and that business would be asked to pay $150,000 at the end of a summer season, which is the time when our businesses make their income, and that would be, I'd say, a substantial change for that. That's probably the worst case scenario. That's the highest bill we have. And then for other people, they're gonna go from an $800 bill to, in that calendar year, a $1,200 payment. So those are the ranges, from the min to the max.
That's quite a bit. I mean, I can think of myself at the Chowder House, our sewer bill is 10,000, so it would be 15,000.
15,000?
So, yeah, we would bill you in May for the 10, and then in November, we'd say, pay 5. And then after that, it's all good, right?
Yeah.
5 and 5, 5 and 5, but it's that first year is, all I'm asking is for you to think about it before we implement it, because then we can't
But now,
back up.
walk through what the scenario over 5 years, what would you be paying? Walk me through the numbers.
So what would happen is, we would basically, in 2026, in the summer of 2026, after you pass our sewer budget, we would commit a budget of, let's say, just for easy numbers, 2 million.
Right.
And we would then project our revenue is only 1 million, okay? Because we're gonna borrow that other million from ourselves. So then we'd say, if it's a 5-year period, we're gonna add to the next 5-year budgets 200,000. So over a 5-year period, we can pay ourselves back.
So in Ellen's
So,
scenario,
so the budget will be
20%.
200,000 greater over that 5-year period, and that will impact the rates.
So in your scenario, it would be 6,000 versus 5.
So that's what, so I think that's the unknown, is what is that rate impact then?
Well, but I think that was stated, right? So in Al's case, it would, instead of 5,000, it would be 6,000 for 5 years, and then it would go back down to 5,000 if the rates didn't go up.
So I'm looking at it, I guess I'm looking at
Well,
it
like
as
my
it,
rate would be, I'm paying about 10,000
Correct.
at the Chowder House, it'd be 12,000 for
Right,
5 years.
for
and
5
go
years.
back to
10,000,
10,000, whatever
exactly.
it was.
Would you rather do that than do the 15,000 or the, whatever, I'm sure the number is?
15,000,
The 50.
and then go back to 10 the next year.
I would prefer to not pay it at all.
Right, huh?
Can't we, let's have a tax holiday or
But-
something.
I think that's a pretty good deal. I mean, it would be easier for the business community and it'd probably be easier for the residential
I think
community.
it would to put it over 5 years. I would agree with that.
I don't know the math on what it
I-
means to a resident.
I mean, is there a way, before we make the decision, you could give us some actual, just pull some examples, maybe Alan's business,
fine.
maybe the Colony Hotel, which I'm sure is probably one of the bigger ones,
Yeah.
and just run that out, what it looks like, and then take a couple of
Residents.
average residential bills and see what it looks like?
So we can do that. Another state law that has come into being is that we can no longer display sewer users' information in any kind of public format. So we would come to you and say, business
A.
Q and
yeah.
resident
Right,
A,
yeah.
just so you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfectly, I mean, if you want to use actual numbers but not their names,
Right.
that would be helpful. Yes, you get it. Well, I'm not.
So why don't we do that
Thank you.
and
Good.
send it out for your
Good
next
thought.
meeting?
Good thought.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks for
job.
putting up with us.
Item 11, and this is the fun part, to accept donations to the Allison Kennebunkport Memorial Scholarship Fund.
So moved
Second?
First and second, any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
with gratitude.
With gratitude. And now for other business? Joe?
None here?
Dave?
I thought we were gonna vote on the, speed bumps.
The speed bumps have been,
Delayed.
to Mary Beth's chagrin, delayed until the January timeframe. Yeah, it turned out
There
that
was a bump?
I had hoped to get that in place. I was going to do a vote by email, and we cannot do that.
For the beach committee.
The beach committee is an elected committee, and so we don't have the privilege, we don't have the opportunity to do that by state
So there
law.
were some bumps in the
So,
bump.
there was a bump in the bump
Bump in the
plan,
bump.
but it will be before us in January.
And the beach committee,
Probably the third, actually the second.
since I'm new, by what authority does the beach committee have to pre-approve or
It's
pre-deny
not a
this?
pre-approve, it's not a deny.
Conservancy.
What we are asking for is their reading and recommendation on the speed bumps. And I've presented to them what our thinking is. They are taking that, they understand it. And this is just part of the process when it comes to certain elements on the beach. And this one is kind of, I'll admit, a quasi one, but it's one that we have traditionally accepted the safety concerns, traffic concerns for the beach. This is their vehicle to make those known to the board, and so we'll listen to it. It is a recommendation. It's not a direction.
So this is like a courtesy consultation with the Goose Rocks Beach Committee.
It is in their, it's in their charter to be able to make these recommendations to the board.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. David?
No, I don't today.
I'm all set.
Yeah, I just have one, we don't plow state roads, right?
Yeah.
We do?
Yeah.
We do.
Oh,
That would be
okay.
Dock
So
Square.
who plows Route 9? Who plows Main Street up to like Log Cabin?
The person?
No, is
No,
it
we do,
us?
okay, we do, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, I didn't really wanna.
It's
Fred.
You can't mention individuals who
Yeah,
plow
so-
the roads.
Well, what about Log Cabin? Because that splits, right? Who owns
Yeah.
Log Cabin?
We only go north.
Well, we only go up to Walker Lane, up to Arundel Road. And then it becomes Arundel takes over from there.
Oh,
So
do they? So Arundel takes
over.
it from,
Okay,
Okay.
okay, so then I can make my statement. So under our first snowstorm, I just want to say that there was a remarkable difference between what we plowed, Kennebunkport,
Yeah.
versus, say, another town plowed.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so I had a very nice ride on our roads.
Yes.
And a very bad ride on
we-
other towns.
Thank you for what you guys
I want
do.
to say thank you to the team for
Yeah.
getting out there and taking
Thank you.
care of it.
Yeah, we have adopted salt priority, so we're entirely salt usage for the most part, unless we have an icing event, then we'll put sand out. But a lot of other communities, they'll utilize a mix of sand and salt together.
No, they just weren't even plowed, though. I mean,
They,
the
they
plows that
do
we
have a
had-
changeover in staff and have been a little short-staffed, because their manager was discussing it with
we
me.
don't throw anybody under the
But-
bus. That's right.
I'm just congratulating our team.
I always,
you.
I always feel safer once I cross
I-
a certain line.
I will say, your crew always does a great job. They were out there today, this morning in Dock Square, putting salt down on the sidewalks that
And
were a little
Dave would
slippery.
know.
And I would know. You always know when you have crossed the town line from any community into Kennebunkport, and that is a credit to your, and to the staff.
Yep, so
Amen.
thank you for
Thank
the
you.
team.
Thank you.
Yep, thank
That's
you.
all I had.
I have a question.
Oh,
Oh,
Has
Going back.
any of you guys been down the pier recently,
I've-
since they paved it?
no,
no, Alan, we're not getting
They've
updates
done
from
a
you.
won- They've done a great job.
we were waiting for an invite.
Yeah.
Can I ride my e-bike down?
Cocktails down.
The other thing is, they have moved over to the other section
Yes.
of the
So
pier.
they're
Oh.
now, that's South End.
And so, if you want to drive by and see it, they've switched sides.
So the fishermen are using the North Pier now?
Yes.
Cool. We'll have to go down and take a peek.
What about the fishermen?
I'll make that my
Good.
next route that I check out.
Lori, anything for us?
The only thing is I wanted to remind everybody about our revised schedule. So we'll be having a meeting on December 22nd at 1 for warrant signing. And I wanted to confirm who will be present.
December 22nd at 1 o'clock.
That's what I said, 1
I-
PM, didn't
And
I?
that is a Monday.
I won't be here.
I will be there.
Where will you be? You don't have to answer that.
Of course, I said that last time, right?
I will
No.
be here.
I will
So
be there.
David, Mary Beth,
John?
and John.
I will, what time is it?
1 o'clock.
1
o'clock.
o'clock.
If you need me, I got a, well, no, I got a 1 o'clock flight, I think.
We're good.
Yeah, oops, sorry.
So it's very important all three of you show up.
Show up. I heard that, I
You
heard
can-
that.
You can take
Texas,
my
man.
salary on that one day.
You got your penny?
Barbecue, some fajitas.
All righty, 1 o'clock on the 22nd, right? All righty, and now for our warrant, treasurer's warrant, please.
So move.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
All
David?
righty.
I said aye.
No.
Oh, motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Here we go.
All righty.
Good
Lights
job,
are
Eric.
off.